Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the Hootsuite Q&A session. My name is Karan, and I'm a sponsorship coordinator for nwPlus. And here we have 3 awesome reps from Hootsuite. So first thing we're going to do is do a round of introductions. So Steph, do you want to take it away?
Absolutely. My name is Stephanie. I'm a talent acquisition coordinator here at Hootsuite. I also lead our co-op program, which will be starting in May. So I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm Jessica. I'm a technical recruiter here at Hootsuite as well. I used to lead the co-op program, and I'm here to support with questions. On to you, Marlo.
Sure. My name is Marlo. I am a software development manager here at Hootsuite. So what that means is I lead one of our product development teams working on the product.
Awesome. Super excited to have you guys here. So I think the first thing we can start off with is a little bit of a rundown of what Hootsuite is, where its main office is, and a little bit more about the company. So do any of you want to take that away?
Yeah, sure. I could take a stab at it. So Hootsuite is really one of the first instances of a social media management experience. So essentially what that means is that there are I'm sure you're familiar with several different social media channels out there, such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So social media management, what that means is that you have one location where you can get in all of this incoming data, and you can also have that one experience to engage with your audience, acting on all of these social channels. So we're kind of born and bred here in Vancouver, BC, Canada. And yeah, we do have various offices in other locations around the globe as well.
Awesome, thank you. So the first question that we have coming in is describe Hootsuite in one word, and then sort of, I guess, give a little bit of an explanation about why you chose that word.
That is a good question for sure. One word is pretty tough. I've only been working here for 8 months, but in my 8 months, I feel like I would maybe use the word collaborative. I feel like that is kind of the basis of creativity and kind of working on one another and just bouncing ideas and finding a way to find solutions. So I think collaborative would be a great word to describe Hootsuite.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that for sure. I would also say exciting. I mean, I just recently passed 4 years with the company, and even to this day, there is never really a dull moment. We just went through this week alone with an acquisition of a company called Spark Central, which will really help us bolster our customer care use cases within the product that I'm really excited about. Yeah, it is very exciting, both on kind of like that technical side of like really interesting large scale problems, but also really exciting on the people side, because I get to kind of, work through these problems with some people who I can, honestly say are some of my closest friends. So it's good stuff.
Awesome. So collaborative and exciting definitely sounds like an awesome place to work. And thank you for sharing some of your insights. The next question that we have is, what does a typical day of an intern on Hootsuite look like? And what kind of projects do they work on? What's their day-to-day like as well?
Yeah.
So it really depends on what kind of team you go into. I think maybe Marlo, you would probably know a little bit more, or Jeff.
Yeah, I can take that. So obviously, like Stephanie said, it'll vary a little bit, but at least for technical internships with our developer teams. So a typical day is not really any different than any other developer on the team. So one thing that I like to talk about is that we don't discern or treat our co-ops or other interns really any different than a junior full-time employee. So what that means is that candidate will be looking at the same problems that form the team's mandate that they joined. They will be just incorporated right into the work stream. And you're really kind of like following on my other answer of it being excited. It can vary quite a lot. There can be quite some changes in requirements that come in. And so a lot of the time there is a real agile mindset of, always wondering what is the right thing that we should be working on right now. So, but in more like concrete terms, you're going to be working with a team, you're going to be collaborating with other developers, you're going to be looking at interesting, challenging technical problems. You're going to be very, embedded in that collaborative environment, both within your team and outside onto kind of like neighboring teams. And you're really going to be exposed to what it means to, I guess, like have that as a career and have that as a day-to-day job.
Awesome, thank you. Definitely all that sort of change definitely makes for a great learning experience. I think something that you mentioned was that the teams are always varying. The role is you always have to adapt to new technologies and new findings. And so I guess in your personal career development, also just in your day-to-day, how do you sort of adapt to these changes in technology that sort of happen so often?
I think really the how is explained by just some of the qualities that we look for when we hire people. And that is really an innate curiosity and interest and passion in their craft and what they do. So typically, if we are adopting a new technology into our stack in some way, it's not necessarily like it's brand new to everyone, because most people have heard about it, researched it, maybe done their own kind of like pet projects around it. And they can come to the table with some, informed insight into how they see this integrate into our stack. And so the how really then boils down to kind of like exposure and learning and collaboration for everyone and for other people who, are maybe not as exposed or plugged into the latest and greatest kind of thing, right? So as part of the collaborative atmosphere, those people who are really kind of at the leading edge of some of those things, they'll help kind of onboard and bring on other people to it.
That makes sense. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So other than, I guess, innate curiosity and being able to collaborate with others, which is extremely important, one of the questions we have here is, what other skills or qualities are you looking for in potential interns or hires? So Marley can touch on that, but also I think Stephanie can maybe touch on that in terms of the recruitment process and what skills or what things really stand out in interns.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't think there is exactly an ideal candidate. What we do look for is people that are involved in the tech community, people that have worked in previous co-ops, and projects that they're interested in. I think the main thing is that you're wanting to learn, you're wanting to be engaged, and you're wanting to kind of see what works and what doesn't, and kind of grow your skill set from there.
Yeah, and just to add on that, it's really, I can't emphasize that enough, that there really is no perfect candidate. I mean, we all are so different and diverse in so many ways. So besides kind of that innate curiosity and wanting to learn and grow your skill sets, there is kind of like a fundamental level of like competency that I would look for personally on the technical side. And that would be around, nothing like, hey, I need you to be well-versed in these technologies, these languages, nothing of that sort, because in fact, it would be detrimental to ask for that. We are far more interested in someone who can, while in collaboration with others, kind of be able to articulate their thinking, and then take that thinking and take the results of that collaboration with others and start turning it into code and start looking at like, how would I implement this? And, you know, you very rarely, if ever, are off on your own doing that. So there is ample opportunity to kind of circle back and touch on like, hey, I've got this problem in front of me, and I've tried these few things and I need some help. So besides kind of like the like fundamental technical stuff, there is that fundamental also communication skills. So someone who can integrate into a team, can kind of, you know, understand where the team is going and what the team needs, and then like be part of those discussions as well about like where we're heading and how we want to get there.
Awesome, thank you. I think that, yeah, you mentioned some really great qualities and skills that interns should have. And I think Stephanie mentioned that on your resume, you can have different projects, past co-ops, but in the actual technical interview that might be held, do you have any tips on how to succeed in that and really show off those qualities? Yeah,
absolutely. I think so. When it comes to the technical portion of the interview and the technical assessment, there are a few kind of like ground rules, so to speak. First off is that, I guess, okay, so off the top of my mind, there are like 4 things. Number 1, your interviewer is probably as nervous as you are, because the company is instilling a whole lot of responsibility into that individual to, you know, evaluate a candidate and determine suitability. I have been on both sides of the interviewing table many dozens of times, and it's a skill that you nurture and you grow. But even still, when I am about to go into an interview and meet a candidate, there's butterflies, there's a lot of things going on. Second point, be sure to think out loud and talk through your thought process as much as possible. We are not able to read your mind, so we need something from you in order to understand where you're going and what you're thinking. And the only way to do that, of course, is to talk it through. And a lot of candidates are a little bit hesitant to do that because they either feel they're too verbose, or, you know, they want to wait until they get an insight and then bring that out. But that's just, you know, withholding exposure to the thought process that we're interested in as interviewers. Third thing is asking a lot of questions, clarifying things. That can range from like, hey, this problem needs something more to start jumping off and coding from, or it could be to like implementation details of like, you know what, this solution that I have envisioned, it would be a whole lot easier if I had access to Google standard libraries, those kind of things. I'm unsure if I can use that. All you have to do is ask. And your interviewer will then be able to, you know, assess if some of those things are valuable or not as part of the evaluation. And then the fourth part is really about coming back to like what you're being evaluated for and hired for, is to tackle interesting, difficult technical problems that you haven't seen before. And that last part is really important. So if you have ever heard a interview problem before, you need to talk about it and you need to voice it, because unfortunately it is unfair to both of us if we can't, you know, fairly evaluate you because you've already heard a question. And there are so many resources out there with great interview questions, you know, HackerRank, LeetCode, etc. So the pool of available interview questions is quite limited in today's time. So it's like one of those things where, you know, it's a huge red flag if someone is dishonest at all through an interview process, right? But then on the flip side, saying that you've heard a problem before and, you know, getting your interviewers to move along to like the backup or some other way to evaluate you, that's just huge kudos and props to you, because you know you understand why you're there and what that interview panel really needs from you.
Yeah, I think those 4 tips definitely help. And being on the other side of interviews, that's definitely something I'll take note of as well. So thank you for sharing that. So we've sort of talked about, what to have on your resume, all those past co-ops, all those projects. Now how to, kill the interview. You have that technical interview. Make sure you have those 4 tips down. Once you're in the company, what's the culture like? And I guess with COVID-19 especially, how do you sort of foster that culture during these unprecedented times?
Well, I can speak to that a little bit. I actually joined Hootsuite while we were working remotely. I went in the office one time, and that was for my interview. Other than that, I've been working remotely. But I do feel like we are able to create a sense of culture, even working remotely. I know I'm part of the talent acquisition team, and everyone is super supportive. We have weekly chats. We just talk about life and how we're dealing with working from home. I feel like everyone is in this bubble together, and we're all really supportive of one another. I can't really speak to the culture in person because I haven't experienced that, but I know working remotely, everyone, we're going through the same thing. And again, we're supportive of one another and what everyone's going through in their own individual ways. Excuse me.
Yeah, a lot of that resonates with me on kind of like the dev organization side of things. It's one of those things where, as a developer, when you're looking at technical problems, a lot of it is kind of very, I guess, like the work that you're facing is, if it's highly technical in nature, there's a little less of a need to, I guess, like, how do you put it? I'm not exactly sure where I was going with this anyways, but on the dev org side, that collaborative atmosphere is there, and it's really centered around those technical problems. But then on top of that, the culture really is one of helping and working out loud. And we have some of these kind of shared values enshrined in our dev organization. And they really come down to, wanting to support one another because you hope that others are there to support you too, right? So a lot of that kind of golden rule, I would say as well, the culture is just has lots of fun elements to it. And it's kind of interesting to say that, and a little bit cliched, that it's like, we're working on hard technical problems, but we have fun with it, and we go, forward as a group of strong team members and friends. But it really is true for Hootsuite and the dev organization. We work on some pretty tough problems, but we have a lot of fun doing it.
Wait, sorry. Can you still hear me? I think I might have cut out for a quick second there.
No, you're good. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. I think that culture, hopefully things will be normal soon, and we'll sort of experience that in-person culture. But the fact that it really stays strong while you're working from home too is extremely important. And I think that's going to play a big role for some of the interns coming in. Another question that we have is, are there any current openings for co-ops at Hootsuite and also for new grads?
Absolutely. So we have currently 11 open positions available. And I'm not quite sure, Jess, I think we might be adding some more as well. Is that right?
For now, we have 11. Yeah, on the software developer side, we'll be adding a few on DevOps as well. And then in terms of the new grads, we do have a couple junior positions coming up as well.
Okay, and they're all based in Vancouver as well?
Nope. They are across Canada, actually. So they don't have to be in Vancouver. It will be remote.
Awesome. Another question that we have is, can you provide an example of a past intern project or something cool that a previous intern has worked on?
trying to think here. There are a plethora of examples of really cool things that interns have done. And it goes back to what I said, where we don't treat them any different than a full-time employee. And in fact, interns tend to seek out really challenging problems. And that's kind of due to the nature of, where they're at with regards to they've got so much to learn, but they're so eager to learn as much as possible. So if you give them a very large problem, they're going to just jump in and try and find out as much as they can about it. So we have seen some pretty large, impactful things come out of, projects that interns have worked on. But to clarify, of course, they aren't projects specific to that intern. It's projects that the intern worked on in collaboration with the rest of the team. So I think I'm trying to remember, but for my team and my portfolio in particular, because we work on the parts of the product where our users rely on these tools so that they can receive timely data in about what customers are saying about them on social, and then be able to respond and engage with them. Yeah, we've had some pretty strong contributions to kind of our core product line by our co-ops, and it speaks to kind of like the quality of the co-ops, of course, but also really the scale and ambitiousness that they can shoot for inside of our dev organization. So there are plenty of opportunities where if you want to work on something that affects millions of users, it is just, a conversation away.
Awesome. And then in terms of, so just touching back on that project idea, what kind of tech stack is used at Hootsuite? And what are some common things that students should sort of highlight in their resume, more like any specific tech stacks?
Yeah, for sure. Great question. So tech stack at Hootsuite is a little bit like, it depends heavily on the team that you join. I would say for the things that I'm exposed to in my portfolio, we tend to use React and Redux on the front end. We use Scala and Golang in a microservice backend. We use standard, RESTful API interfaces, but we also use GraphQL as a new tech and new interface between front and back end. And then going a little further back, we tend to use Mongo or MySQL on the database layer. Yeah, and with regards to what a candidate might focus on, it's really just, we're not asking for those specific technologies, of course, but because a lot of JavaScript and a lot of Scala in particular have very functional paradigms integrated into how they build things. Functional programming is always good to see highlighted on a resume, because it's one of those things of having the conceptual foundational knowledge there means that diving into a brand new language in that paradigm is made a little bit easier. But of course, I wouldn't say it's like a must-have kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. And then in terms of, so just taking a step away from tech stacks to some non-technical work experience or activities that might be highlighted on a resume. To preface this, I guess, are there any non-technical roles available at Hootsuite, or are they mostly all revolving around software engineering?
I can jump in on this. The ones that we do have confirmed are mostly on the technical side. However, we are looking to open up a few on, I believe, on the product management side, on the design side as well, and potentially sales. But yeah, that's for now.
Awesome, thank you. And then, so I know technical work experience, showing off those projects and those past co-ops are extremely important, but a lot of students sort of take on extracurriculars that might be slightly unrelated, but might have skills that could be used in that show collaboration, for example. And so are those also preferred to have on a resume, or do you mostly just want to see the technical prowess of a student?
I mean, you need a balance, absolutely, because a candidate can't be successful without both some foundational technical skills and some foundational communication, organizational, the traditional soft skills, right? And that's mainly because we always work in teams. Like there's never a case where someone is going off dark for months and implementing a spec or something like that. You're always working with a team. And because we do, well, it'll vary from team to team, but most of us are following some kind of agile Scrum type process. So, you know, your daily stand-ups mean that, you know, you're chatting with your team members every morning. So having that kind of ability to understand like what you need to communicate and when is it important to ask for help versus diving deep on something so that you can get the learnings from it. All of those things are kind of, they naturally arise from the work, and we are really looking for some kind of indicators that candidates can successfully navigate that.
Awesome. So we're just coming up on time now. We have one final question. So what's your favorite thing about Hootsuite or about working at Hootsuite?
I thoroughly enjoy the people. I feel like the people really make it what it is. And, you know, like it was an echoed statement before, you know, that collaborative piece and just, you know, knowing one another. And like Marla said, they've become great friends. The people definitely make Hootsuite what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I've been asked that question several times already today, even, and like so giving some thought to it. Really, my favorite things about Hootsuite is, like, to summarize it, it's like it's both technical and the people. So it's like you're working on interesting, deep technical problems that are hard to solve, but those problems, when you solve them, have massive positive impact across the world. And you get to do that with, you know, some really close peers and friends. So that itself as a package is really my favorite thing.
I fully have to agree with Steph. She literally took the words out of my mouth.
Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing, and thank you for answering all of our hacker questions. It was really great having you on this. And for all of those hackers watching, feel free to shoot any messages into the Discord channels, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you so much, and yeah, take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.